This is just a webinar on improving your website with search engine optimization. We do just ask when you guys aren't talking just to mute yourselves if you don't mind, just to cut out any background noise. Just to let you know, we are recording the session and this will be uploaded to Tyfu Cymru's channels and posted on the Knowledge Hub in the next few days. If you've got any issues with this, please contact one of the Tyfu team via email and let us know. We really encourage you to ask questions as we go along. It works much better if it's an interactive session, so you can either use the chat box or just unmute yourselves and shout out. Yeah, so I'm just going to pass you on to Eddie, who will be taking the session today. Yeah, Eddie.
Cool, thank you. I'll just share my screen. Bear with me. Sorry, it's just going a bit haywire. Okay. Okay, so this, my screen doesn't seem to scroll properly at the moment, but there we go, we'll get going. So basically I'm from InSync. I don't know whether I've met any of you before on any of my courses, but basically I've been doing, I work for InSync, it's my company, I've been running it for 16 years now. We're based in Aberystwyth and Shrewsbury and Cardiff and all over the place at the moment, basically, because that's where our staff are. But we've got offices in Shrewsbury and Aberystwyth. And myself, prior to that, I've been doing search engine optimization for my own little companies and other companies well before that as well. So I've kind of been doing it for a long time. So I would say that SEO is my specialist subject. I do lots of different things, but I'm quite passionate about it because I know it's actually simple changes can make quite a big difference for business. Every day we are doing it commercially. So what I'm going to outline in this sort of shortish session today is how we undertake commercial search engine optimization for people. I'll try and demystify it so you can understand the basic principle. And we are a small group, obviously, so we can personalize this. So what I expect or intend to do is explain a bit about SEO. We'll do some keyword research on your subjects, on your keywords that you would want to be found for. And then if possible, we'll pull up your websites, should you be willing to do so, and I hope you are. So we can have a look at it and say, otherwise I'll have to pull up somebody else's who's not on the course. And then we can look at it and say, what could we do to improve the SEO? So that's the plan. But do interrupt me at any stage. There probably won't be any time for questions at the end. So if you think I'm going to cover it later, I may not. Let me scroll down this. So I'm not using PowerPoint today. So basically, why are we looking at SEO? Many, many different reasons. I think it's the most cost-effective, efficient form of digital marketing that businesses should put in place above anything else if you're going to spend any time on it. And that's in terms of the time you spend or the money you spend getting somebody to do it, the returns on that can be bigger than anything else and will keep on giving you traffic. The other reason we look at it is when we look at traffic to a search engine, to a website, and I know Richard, you were saying prior to us beginning that you were looking at social media as one of your main marketing sources to bring business in. And obviously you'll do business on social media and you'll get messaging on social media and you'll do business like that. But when we're looking at traffic arriving at a website from the various sources that might come from, such as social media, email marketing, paid advertising on Google, people typing it in, whatever. Search engine traffic is usually one of the highest converting sources of traffic because people have intent. When they're on social media, they are generally browsing around, looking for social interaction, and they may stumble across your business or your product or your service. They come to your website, they either do something with you on there, but when they come to your website, they are usually some of the least likely people to actually engage with you or buy from you or use your company. This is aside from people messaging you on social media. When, third bullet point on there, when people look for a business, when they proactively want to find a certain type of business, they will go and search for it. And what will come up in search engines, hopefully, is your website, but it's websites that will come up. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and that's the reason I say that is because if you well optimize a website, you'll get an initial boost from that in the rankings. But over time, as your website ages, in other words, it's been around for longer, which Google likes, and your the number of links coming into you increase, the amount of content you put on your website increases, your search engine optimization, your well-optimized page will keep on bringing you traffic, and it will go and go and go and bring you traffic every single month. So it gets better and better as time goes on. Just another point on there, people don't look beyond page 1. Generally speaking, if I get to page 3 and I haven't found what I'm looking for in the search results, I generally go, I'm off doing a fresh search. So it's page 1 we're looking at. But when we choose phrases we want to be found for to put onto our website, we'll often go for what we call long tail phrases that include some short tail ones as well. So you might have a phrase such as, I'm trying to think of, Richard, what would be a phrase that people would search for your business that you think? Sorry to pick on you, but you're muted at the moment, by the way. You go.
Yes. I'm still muted. Am I? Am I muted?
No, you're fine now. You good?
Oh, I can see a little. It says, okay, it's right, but it says wrong on my screen here. I don't know what's going on there. I guess we'd be looking around. A phrase would be for us, and the main thing we want to do is drive people to our online shop, really. So it's something to do food and drink, I guess, or the cafe.
Okay, so you may, let's say, for example, you may, if your phrase might be places to eat, Newtown, Wales. Yeah, or where to eat, Newtown, Wales. Now, you're probably never going to get found for places to eat, because that's too general and people aren't going to find it. You might not get found for Newtown at the top, but if you put in there like whole food cafe or something, or natural cafe or vegetarian or whatever, then and add those niche words in as well. What it means is that at the end of that tail, you start picking up those niche searches, but your other main, more competitive words are in that phrase as well. So that in time, you might also start ranking for those as well. So when we look at it and say, I'm hoping I'm making sense here, and it will make more sense when we do the research, but we are still trying to get found for page 1, but within our phrase, we have those sort of more niche phrases that mean we might get picked up before that for other things as well, if that makes sense. And we'll do some research soon to sort of elaborate on that. A lot of people search on mobile, especially when in that situation, for example, people will generally be on a mobile, and that's why you need to make sure that your website is mobile friendly, and not only that, works well on a mobile, not just functions, it needs to work well. Mobile searches are much more likely to include a location. So very often, what businesses do who are in a location, and that being in that location is relevant, as in your case, Richard, and that's it, not necessarily the online shop, but that instance it is, then what businesses tend to do is not mention enough where they are on their website. So from a search engine point of view, they don't say it because you know where you are, it's in your head, it's what you live and breathe. So you know where you are. You might say it once in the top or whatever, but people don't go on about it. So when you're selecting your keywords that people are searching for, and when you put them on your website, you need to make sure you include that location quite a lot as well, especially on mobile searches. In simple terms, if you had to go now, and please don't, because there won't be enough people on the course, if you had to leave this session right now, I would say this is what SEO is all about. Write more about what you do. Look at your content on your website. Have a thought about what people might be searching for to find you, to find your business, and then increase the amount of content you have on your website that talks about what you do. Very often I'll see websites that look pretty, they look nice, they've got, you know, lovely big pictures and a little bit of text and some pictorial navigation, but there's not enough text there for the search engines. You should be looking at least 500 words per page throughout your website, and that content should be rich with the keywords you want to be found for. When you're reading your text on your website, you should be reading it and feeling slightly uncomfortable that it sounds a bit odd that you're saying, I don't know, vegetables or cafe or whatever slightly too many times. When you're reading it and you're thinking, I'm sure I'm saying that too much, that's when it's about right. So once you hit that pivot point and you feels odd, when your headings start to sound a bit wordy, that's when it's about spot on. I'm just looking at a question here. Does it pick up from anywhere on the site, or does Google look in specific areas? Two questions there, really. So In terms of pages, Google will look at any website page. Any page has a chance to be found for a different search. And so when we do optimization, we always look at trying to optimize individual pages for different things. We do keyword research for every single aspect of the business, whether it's a different product or a different service. You may go for, say, Mid Wales or Powys or Newtown. And so you might say, actually, this page, I'm going to go on all about Powys. The other one, I'm going to go on about Newtown. And so every page you try and tweak and tailor. And an analogy to this that I've always used for years, and I had one person that did this on a course, so maybe this is another one, is fly fishing. I've never been fly fishing, but I understand that when you want to catch a certain type of fish, you create a fly that attracts that fish. And so you create a different fly that's basically weaved in a different way, looks slightly different to catch that fish. And so you have to try and see every single page as a different fly to catch a different type of search. And if you look at it like that and put the effort in to every page, then people will come and visit those pages. Does Google look in specific areas on the page? Yes, which is what we're going to come on to. Just a little bit about where searches are used at the moment. This is slightly out of date, but it was quite a lot out of date. But actually, to be honest with you, it doesn't change much. That's why I haven't updated it. Google is the biggest search engine in terms of content. Bing is up there. Bing provides the search results for Alexa and Siri. So don't neglect Bing. The way not to neglect Bing, to be honest, is to get yourself on Bing Places. You know, like Google My Business. Bing Places is always there as well. So it's worth getting listed on there. Sometimes if we're doing advertising that's working well on Google, we'll make sure we also put it on Bing, because sometimes the less technically savvy amongst us will not change their default browser from Microsoft Edge, and they'll end up searching on Bing. So if that's your market, the people who are not as sort of techie, Bing could be a good one to go for from an advertising point of view. Google provides the search for AOL and Ask Jeeves as well. So it's kind of got the monopoly, and all of the other search engines follow what Google does. Think about why we use Google. I mean, there's probably somebody on, hopefully there's no one here that says, well, actually, I don't use Google, I use DuckDuckGo or something like that. If anyone's used that. I used it once and then thought the results weren't very good, so I don't use it. But we use Google because we find what we're looking for. Way back in 2000, about 2000, I was trying to get to the top of Alta Vista, which some of you may remember. There was also Metacrawler, Dogpile. Google wasn't really a thing then at all. And they were very busy sites with loads of adverts all over them. Whereas now, Google has a very clean interface. It's quick. We get the information we're looking for quickly. When we get to that website, it is usually a fast website. So the website will work quickly. If your website is slow, that will mean you'll rank lower in the search engines. There's usually lots of information on there, information rich. If your website doesn't have very much information, or that is very repetitive, very easy to do with products, if you have very repetitive content, then you won't, Google won't like it. So we find what we're looking for. It's up to date. When you go to a website, it's been updated regularly. It's not one of these sites that's updated once a year with new prices. Changing your website once a month is a really good strategy. At least once a month. Do something, put a new customer comment on there. It should be easy to use. Google measures the dwell time that you spend on a website. So what I mean by that is when you follow a link in the search engines and you land on the site, if you go back off again after 5 seconds, Google knows that has happened because you end up back on the search results. So that will mean that you will drop lower down the order compared to sites when people go on there, they go clicking around for a long time. Google obviously also can see Google Analytics, which will give you that information as well. So sites that are easy to use, you don't have to think when you get on there. One of the things we look at when we talk about conversion optimization to try and get more people to convert is don't make anyone have to think. If you make anyone have to think, you're going to lose people. You'll lose a percentage of your customers. So putting a video on there that plays automatically is quite good because it grabs people's attention. So we find sites that are worth spending time on, that is worth actually going and having a look around. Sites with a good reputation. What I mean by that is sites that have been going, that people are linking to. So related, relevant websites that are linking in. Very important. So that's one of the factors that Google introduced quite a long time ago and others followed. You need to have solid, strong links inbound into your website. You will get a copy of these slides afterwards, by the way, just in case you're worried, because there's about 30 odd slides in here, which I'm not going to go through them all, but you'll get them afterwards. Long-standing, if you've got a brand new domain name, you will struggle to compete against somebody who's had a website going for, say, 3 or 4 years. So think carefully before you change domain name to a new one that's really good or short or punchy or whatever. So the length of time that your website has been going is important too. So just a few overall bits, and there's loads of changes to Google all the time. But just to give you a few basic things that have happened, which helps you understand what not to do and how it works. I had a website, I've had several websites that have fallen foul to this like 20 odd years ago that I used to make a lot of money from advertising. I'll say a lot of money, $3 grand a year or something, by doing nothing, by just having a website up there. So for me, that was decent. But those pages had lots of weak content. So websites that have got really weak content, that haven't got maybe haven't got many pages, or very, very many of the pages are quite similar, they're classed as poor quality. And many people were building websites back in 2011 purely to get the advertising traffic. So you need, when you look at your own website, you need to make sure that it's information rich within there. If you've got products, describe them as much as you can. Add customer comments. Make it good quality content. Around 2010, 2011, Google started introducing this reputation factor that when websites linked to your website, that helps you get higher up the search engines, because everyone was going around like me, tweaking the content. They had to find another way of judging how good a website was. So what they did was measure how many links had people coming in, people are coming into the websites. What then people did was create, and it's still around today, I saw one the other day advertised on LinkedIn, I think it was, that you spend $100 and you'll get 500 links coming into your website. And in return, you have to put a little bit of code on your website, which links out to all of these other websites, basically called link farms. So link farms became the thing. And so Google started blocking that. So when you go out there getting links from people to try and get other people, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, they should be relevant in terms of the sector or relevant in terms of the area. So in other words, you know, horticulture or your location, whatever you do. And ideally, websites that have been around for a while will count more as well. Not just because you've got a friend. Well, for example, we had somebody exchange links with us the other day who sells a food product, and they want to exchange links with us, which we're not going to do because it's just not relevant to our business, and it could actually harm us. You'll notice that I will just keep talking right the way through till 3 o'clock. So if you've got any questions, just literally speak over the top of me, or drop it in the chat, because I will just keep going. We'll do some research, keyword research very shortly. Hummingbird, this is about understanding the reason for a search. So if I search for a football result or for England result, for example, Google's going to want to know that it's about the one that was last night, not the one that was 2 years ago or 2 weeks ago, or the one that's coming in a few weeks. If I search for footwear, Google might understand I'm looking for shoes. So and you can use that by using within your content different words that mean the same thing, using the thesaurus. 2015, April the 21st, I think it was Mobile-ageddon, as we called it in the industry, which was trying to persuade everyone to have new websites with us. We don't do websites anymore, but non-mobile friendly websites rank lower in the search. And as I put here, and I've already said, how people engage with your website is really important. It's not just about numbers of visitors coming through. So what I'm going to do now is abandon my presentation briefly and go on to websites. So I don't know whether, I think these are yours, Richard. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the same one? But has anyone else got websites they could put up as well? Okay, so we've got one from here.
That's our main website for the project as such. And then there's a link there to our selling website, our online shop.
Brilliant.
There we are.
Cool. So we've got the 3 there. It's great now. I can see there's other people on the course. we did worry that everyone was out gardening or growing something when the sun shines. It's sunny in Aberystwyth.
Beautiful here.
Yeah, it's a lovely day. Shouldn't be in the office really, but there we go. But we must stay until the 3 o'clock at least. So in a minute, I'm going to do keyword research on these, and you can chip some words in. So have a think while I'm talking for the next little section. Have a think about maybe 2 to 3 phrases that you think people should be searching for, or maybe searching for your business. And if you just drop those in the chat, I can pick them up when I get to that section. So 2 to 3 phrases separated by a comma. It'll save me time in putting those in. Just a little word on measuring the success now, before we go any further. It's really important that you know where you are with your search engine optimization before you start. And I always use Google Analytics as a kind of benchmark for that, which some of you may have attended a Google Analytics course with me actually, but for me, it's fundamental for any kind of digital marketing. You have to have Google Analytics in place. It's free. A little bit of code goes on your site. I'm just going to switch to another profile. I'll go to mine. I have to be careful what I show in public. So I'm not going to go through Google Analytics, but I'm just going to show you the one place where I would look to see the effectiveness of search engine optimization. So, and this would be within acquisition, all traffic channels. Just on that note, when we do the one-to-one side of things, which most of you are eligible for, or you'll be told if you're not anyway, when we do one-to-one sessions, what we often do is go in and look at Google Analytics and try and work out what's going on, as well as looking at SEO. So most of you will have the opportunity to sit down with me and do some SEO on your site as well. Now, and I'd go into here and look at organic search. And within there, this tells me the amount of visitors that have come in the last week from organic search. I can compare that and say, right, actually show me the last 30 days, in fact. Just because you're at the top of the search engines for a phrase doesn't mean you get loads of traffic, because you may be optimizing for the wrong phrase. So this is when you actually see from the search engines in there how many people are actually coming in. You can compare that to the previous period. So I can see whether it's gone up or down. So in the last period, mine is 1.42% down, my natural search traffic. I can compare that to the previous year. This is all about knowing whether you've had an impact with your search engine optimization. So mine is broadly the same. It's literally 2 different in that period compared to last year. But you would hope that it's gone up. Mine hasn't, so I'll just have a word with my person who does my SEO. But it may be just one of those things. When you change things on your website, it can actually happen quite quickly. So Google can find it quite quickly. So if I was to look for something, this is the way I do it, to find out whether somebody's looked. I'm just going to copy a bit of text from your website, and then in Google, put it in quote marks. I put it in quote marks because then I know it's only going to bring up that phrase. And then I presume this was your website. It looks slightly different though. No, it wasn't.
It's the online shop, that one.
Selling one, isn't it? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So within here, I can see it's pulled up that. And now you see this little arrow there. You will have seen that so many times, that little drop-down triangle. When you click on that, you can go to the cached version, which is actually the version that Google saw when it registered what was on that page. And you can see the last time Google came to it was the 3rd of July at 20 to 6. So if you're ever thinking, well, I've made these changes, has Google seen it yet? That's one way of you just doing a search for your business, clicking on the drop down, and you can see. But then it's about, has it had an impact? You need to consider things like Google Trends. Just literally type in Google Trends, and I'm just going to pick a phrase here. Let's go for, I'm just going to put gardening in, which is quite generic. This will then show me the trend for people searching for the word gardening. And I can look at that, and I'm going to ignore what happened last year, because I'd imagine gardening was big on everyone's agenda, and a lot of people's agenda. I'm going to go back to 2019. And then I can see over a year when do people search for the word gardening? And so I can see that if all my traffic came from search engines, it would go up and down like that. So we've got February half term and Easter, a bit of a peak, and then it's downhill from May. So if you did your search engine optimization around here and you got less and less traffic, it doesn't mean you've done a bad job. It's just a seasonal trend. And this is when you can also look at other phrases as well. I'm going to go for the one that was put in the chat here by Mark. No dig gardening might be too niche for this particular search. Not enough data. Let's try fruit and veg. So you can see the trend over a year, obviously there, but then you can also say, what is happening to that phrase since 2004? Where is this phrase going? Obviously, last year, everyone wanted fruit and veg all of a sudden, but you can see it's pretty consistently growing. Google Trends is a great resource to use to look at it and say, this is what should be happening with my traffic. It should be going up, should be going down. This is when I should be timing my campaigns, because people always look for fruit and veg in the main around whatever this time here is, January the 17th. That's peak fruit and veg day. So maybe if I'm going to do a campaign and I did it then, I'm going to get a slightly higher return rate than anything else. So it's got many, many different uses. Okay, so that's Google Analytics, and that's using Google Trends to understand it. But we would use this all the time to see whether it's made a difference. You can also use things, and this is in the presentation, like Web CEO is one of them. It's just literally Web CEO, where you can go on and run a report and see where you rank now and where you rank in a month's time. You could also do things like start an incognito tab or an in private browsing and search for your products or service and see where you come up. The reason I'm saying do it in this way is because you don't, whenever you click on websites, you influence the results. So Google wants to show you what it thinks you want to see. So you can end up skewing your own results by clicking on your own website. And I've had people come to me and say, why is my competitor always doing better than me on the searches? And I say, do you click on their website a lot to see what they're up to? And they say, yes. And that's because, and that's why they're appearing higher, because that's what Google thinks they want to see. So that's the measurement. Let's move on to the keyword research. And this is where, and I've got one person, Mark's put in 3 phrases or words. And thanks for the plug about the one-to-ones. You can have quite a fair bit of time actually doing one-to-one training on this sort of thing. So it is worth doing while the offer is still there. Keyword research. Now I'm going to show you one, and then that I don't use, but I think is useful for you to know. Let's go no dig gardening on this one. It might make me log in. So I'm going to log in first. You get 10 searches a month with Moz. We don't use this if people are paying us to do SEO, because it's not quite as accurate as the one I'm going to show you in a minute, but it is nice and accessible, and it will give you some good ideas, and it's totally free. There's no hassle with it. So I get some results, and then I'm going to click in and see all the suggestions for no dig gardening. And then it will give me an estimated monthly volume of searches, 62, cardboard, YouTube, method, UK. A lot of people forget to put the word UK as one of their keywords. What we're doing here, you see, is trying to come up with maybe 6 to 8 words that we're going to target per page. How to do, no dig garden, method. So method is a good phrase to have in there. So the whole point with this is you think, right, if you've got a page all about no dig gardening, then you look at this, is it got a hyphen? Is it not got a hyphen? So look at this, you used a hyphen on yours, I believe, but this platform is saying that without the hyphen, it's much higher searched. So therefore you'd say, right, I'm not going to use a hyphen then. You get this information, you research all aspects of your business, you export it to a CSV, and then for every single page, I don't know which one yours was now, yours was this one. For every single page, you optimize that page for that content. I have to mention it because it's happened now. When I clicked on that, it opened a new tab, which you shouldn't really do. So it's created 2 instances of the website. You should only have a new tab opening when you go to another website, because if I now click on something else, that's fine. but that one particular tab opens in a new window. Minor detail. The one we use in addition to Moz, if you like, is Google Keyword Planner. This is part of Google Ads. And the theory with this is that when you do a Google Ads campaign, Google has to give you an idea of how much you might have to spend, how much it might cost per click, how many people search for different phrases. And so this is the only way to actually get into raw Google Ads data and see what people are searching for on Google. So in order to do this, you have to go in, create an advert, put your credit card details in, create a couple of lines of an advert, put your credit card details in, choose a couple of phrases you want to target, start your advertising campaign, and then head over to the Google Keyword Planner. Spend an hour, 2 hours doing this keyword research, and then turn your advert off. And the chances are you won't have spent anything, but hopefully you've got your research. And literally this is what we would do. Can some of the words be hidden? It feels like too much is on the page. It can, but you shouldn't. Otherwise you may get dropped from the search engine entirely. So the classic technique, it's all been done in the past. Everyone's had the same thoughts as you. Oh, let's have white text on a white background so that nobody can see them. Let's have tiny text at the bottom of the page. Then you will get dropped from the search engines for doing that. People have made pages that are full of text. I did this myself with my ex-wife's website. People had pages full of text, perfectly optimized, but looked dreadful. But then they had what we call a redirect, that when you landed on it, it redirected people over to another page. Search engines know. So if you have that redirect, you'll get dropped from the rankings. That was not why we got divorced, but it was not a good thing that I did for her website. But I learned from it. That's the main thing. That's the most important thing. That's what I told her. So I've put in these phrases that you gave me: fruit and veg, no dig gardening, permaculture, and you'll see straight away the totals, the volumes here are different. I might actually cut out fruit and veg from here because it's skewing a lot of things on there. It's giving me too much information. I probably would do separate searches. So let's just take them back. And so you go through this, no dig, you've got farming on the air as well. You've got people's names, obviously, who are obviously in that sector. And then we're going down to the no dig. I'm just going to trim out the others, actually. Let's go down to no dig. Google, when we're doing this, if you notice, it's just stripped out the hyphen totally. It's not even shown as the hyphen. So method, garden bed, allotment. Gardening method for beginners. So these are quite interesting, I think, to me. One thing you can do one step with this is, one step further is, rather than just saying, well, no dig gardening for beginners is only 210, whereas when I go for no dig method, it's 480, so I'll focus on that. What you can do is actually go, and I did this a second ago, go into Google, put it in quote marks, and that will tell you how many results there are for that particular phrase. So this tells me that for that phrase, there are 8,790 results. Whereas if I went for no dig method, there are 29,000. So it might first appear that this was a particular good one because it had 480, but actually it had over 3 times as many people competing for it. Whereas this one, less competitive. So you don't have to do that. I'll be totally honest with you. So many people just don't even look at the keyword research at all. But if you want to find those words that are going to be like a gift to you, like this one maybe, no dig method with cardboard, you have to go in, see what it's like. 10 results have that phrase in it. So that, in the industry, I would say that is a gift. There are only 10 other websites with that exact phrase in. So I would have a blog, an article, a page called, as long as you agree with this, obviously, no dig garden bed with cardboard. And it would talk about, if you're looking to have a no dig garden bed with cardboard, then this page will tell you all about no dig garden beds with cardboard. First of all, to make your no dig garden bed, you're going to need some cardboard. right? And that's a bit over the top, but it's like that. You make a page which is focused on that particular thing. Did anyone else have any keywords they want me to research while I'm in here?
I'm just typing one in now.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, actually, I'll just send it then because I can explain it.
So what I'll do, yeah, zero waste is another one. Yeah. Hyperlocal. Let's try those.
For the food offer, for the hyperlocal.
I'll put zero because that's my accounting package, zero waste. Hyperlocal. Now, when I'm doing this, although this is related to your premises, obviously, I'm not putting that in at this stage. Because if I put Newtown in, for example, the data I would get would be so low that I couldn't really tell. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing to target Newtown, but I'm saying I wouldn't get that feel. Whereas in this instance, I want to take it broad and say, what are people searching for?
Okay.
And then when I put the words within my website, then I'll put Newtown in there, obviously. So here we've got zero waste, hyperlocal. So you can see out of those two phrases, one is search for 10 times as much as the other one. Adding shop on the end of it would be a good thing to have because then you're getting zero waste and zero waste shop. Now, we don't tend to include near me because that's just a trigger to the search engines to say, for Google to say they are nearby, let's show them something nearby. You don't actually have to put the words in there as well. Going zero waste. This is where you think about your potential customers, you see, when you look going zero waste. That we tend to make mistake, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but you tend to make the mistake of thinking, right, what are our customers searching for? They're looking for this, they're looking for a zero waste shop. Whereas there are some customers who won't use you for a year or 2 years because they're not ready yet. They're looking for other things. They're looking for, I don't know, recipes. They're looking for the concept of going zero waste. They're looking at reducing plastic or whatever, but they haven't really got to the stage. Maybe they're not even in the area yet. So you look at these words and you come up with content and pages which target those phrases rather than just going straight in the, this is what people want when they're coming to buy my products. So there's quite a lot there around zero waste.
Not so much hyperlocal.
No, I mean, what we can do, you see, to really drill down on that is we can get rid of that. Hyperlocal, you know, so it's 390. And actually a lot of it seems to be in relation to marketing, journalism, advertising. In relation to shops, there's some of it, but not a lot. But knowing that is important, you know, because then you know how to focus your words.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go through that, and now let's have a look at your websites, and I'll explain to you where you put those words. And I'll start on the right-hand side of your websites. So when you do that research, your aim, as I said, is to come up with 6 to 8 words. 70 characters is the sort of optimum, but 6 to 8 words kind of fits that point. And those words sum up in order of importance and in order of priority the words that you think people are going to search for your products. And then the first place where you'd put those words immediately is into this meta title at the top of the page. You can see there, seasonal organic fruit, veg and herbs. So that's great as long as that's exactly what you want people to search for, that you think they're searching for. There may be other words that are missing from there when you look at it and think of it differently. But then you go into every page. So no dig gardening, obviously with a hyphen in there, but you might think, let's put method in there, let's put beginners, or whatever other words could be in there that were in my sort of 6 to 8 words that you came up with. Let's have a look at the other ones. So on here, you've got the name of the business, so Far Hill. So technically, you don't need to have the name of the business at the beginning because people will find you if they're looking for you. So you need to maybe think about and think, what are people looking for? Are they looking for wedding flowers? Very often, and this is probably the case in this one, it's more of a statement about who you are rather than saying, this is what people are searching for. When we look at this one, this is Room magazine. So look at this, and it's got room at the top. So it needs to include the words you want to be found for. If it's this one, is it upcycling? Now this is slightly better. So it's UK bespoke, handmade, pre-loved, finished and upcycled furniture. So now we're getting more towards having the words in that people are searching for. But the home page is always your most important page. The reason it's your most important page is because A, Google always wants to show what we call the index page of the home page. Just by default, that's what it wants to show. And secondly, that's the page that everyone links to. When they're out there and the exchange links to your page, they link to your homepage. So your homepage has the best chance to be found. So that's why it needs to be optimized. When we go on to this one, we've got here home, very, very common, to have this. But the only people who should have home in there should be estate agents. So we need to strip home out there and put other words in there. And both of them have got that within there as well. So that needs to be straight in your 6 to 8 words. Every single page, the deli, the cafe, deli cafe needs to be changed. I bet this just says deli cafe -cultivate once it loads. There we go. Because it's just built dynamically from the name of the page and then the website. Whereas it needs to be independently edited to have that, whatever words you want to be found for. There is also an area called the meta description in the background. So if I look at that on this one, and I'm going to go view the page source, you can do this on anyone's website, and just see if it's in there. I can't see description in there. Let me try again on another one. Get rid of that. Not on that one. We're not doing very well so far. Let's try this one. Basically, the meta description, as it will say in your presentation, here we go. Meta description content is our store main page. You might be able to just about see that, which isn't really that descriptive about the website, but it needs to say what you do. You take your 6 to 8 words that describe the page, and then you elaborate, you fluff them out into a sentence, 25 words maximum in that section. So that's the second place. Title, hidden description. They're both changed. If you go to any page on your website or any product, you'll be able to go into that and change it. If you're using WordPress, which this one is, then you will be able to use something like Yoast, which is a good plugin for WordPress, to help you change those sections. Then we look at things like the heading text. So this on this page is the heading text. And this is where your first dilemma and compromise comes in, because I'm saying you need to get the words in people are searching for, and you're saying, no, it took us ages to come up with that phrase saying cultivating people and plants. And so you need to think, right, how can we somehow combine the two and get the brand across in the way we want to speak to people, but also get those words in there. This is the heading text on that page. And for every page, so this is your heading text. The first heading text on the page is this, which is great if somebody's searching for ordering procedure. Here, welcome to our online store, which is very generic. It doesn't have the phrases in that people are looking for. It's probably going to be better when I go into the products, because at least it's got bakery. But I would say people aren't looking, I may be wrong, they're not necessarily looking for bakery without doing the research. They're probably looking for, I don't know, sourdough loaf, Welsh cakes, or bread delivery, or whatever it is, not necessarily bakery. That's where the keyword research has to come in. That, and even if it was bakery, then the location, why should I go from it? What other words are people looking for it? Are they doing bakery online delivery or collection or whatever it is? Are they looking for artisan bread? So this is your heading text. This one here, that's heading text. Again, compromise. See it, love it, have it. That is perfectly optimized for people looking for see it, love it, have it. And I'm not saying you should change it, but there's an opportunity here to at least get some words in there related to it. When I go to the home page, read, buy, make, which very few people are going to search for. So you need to think about it. Latest articles, another opportunity to get words in there. When we look at this, so here we go. This is slightly better. Beautiful British flowers grown in the Monmouthshire Hills. So it might be nice to have something in there else like delivery or bouquet or whatever it is. When we go into the workshops, even the research on workshops, do people go for flower arranging classes, courses, or workshops? I don't know because I haven't done the research, Lisa. I don't think I have. But you need to just make sure it's within there. I'm not saying it's flower arranging, whatever the course is. But that research, like grow your own cut flowers, that might be what people are looking for. But is it a course or a class or whatever? Heading text again. So on this one, that heading text, welcome to, which is perfectly optimized for anyone looking for welcome to, whereas you should be filling that with words people are looking for. You then take your first sentence and you take your 6 to 8 words and you put them straight into there with a few and, if, but, beautiful, whatever, so that you get them in there straight away. Bear in mind, nobody's reading this beyond the first couple of sentences. They are looking to say, right, where do I go now then? They're looking to click. They're not looking to read all this. They want to click and go somewhere. So to a certain extent, if you read it and it's slightly awkward, feels awkward, it doesn't matter. So again, within this here, one little tip you can do is do a Control F and then type in the word. So Control F is just a find basically. So it might be, I don't know, food. So where does food appear on there? Where does veg appear on there? So it's on there 3 times. When does 0 appear on there? Not at all. So you go through, and let's go to the artisan bread, Control F. Bread appears once on that page. So this page is not much about bread, despite the picture saying the otherwise. So it can be, when I refer you back to what I said earlier, talk more about what you do. It's literally, if you did no keyword research, looking at your text and saying, I sell bread, fruit and veg. I need to talk about fruit and bread and veg more. And that will make a difference. So you go through your page, you look at your first sentence and you make sure you're getting the words within there. Let's go to the home page on this one. You know, so I suppose at least here we're getting organic, we're getting cottage garden, British flowers. You just make sure you're getting those words in. Flowers is in there quite a lot, I think now. It's nicely peppered with flowers. So enrich your content. Then think about your images. I'm going to open this image in a new tab. This image, and it depends on the platform, this image is called 2016 0603 _192521.png. It could be called wedding, bouquet, flowers, delivery, local flowers, whatever. So rename your images to be called the things that people are searching for. It's that simple. Then you'll get found in image searches. You'll and Google will see a theme to that page. In the background, you can have what we call alt text. So when you hover your mouse over an image, there's alternative text that comes out. I'm just trying to see if there is any on this one. Not that I can see. But whenever you put any image on the website, there will be a section which is called alt text, alternative text. It's designed for screen readers, for people who are sight impaired, so they can have it read out to them. But also it's great for search engines. When you link to something, you could say in the gallery, could you put flowers in there? Could you put bouquets in there? So when you link to something, add in the words that you want to be found for. It's just a case of enriching all of your text with the words that people are looking for. Little things like if you've got a not secure link, that will hurt you in terms of search engines. So maybe that's been fixed or it just needs sorting, but you need to have the padlock on there because search engines will rank you slightly lower because of that. If your website is slightly slow, two factors here. If you have a slow website, you will get potentially 7% fewer conversions for every 1 second delay. So I'm using something here called Google Page Speed. Again, the link is in your presentation. Google Page Speed will just give you a score out of 100, and it will tell you if there are any issues in terms of speed on your site. It's hard to get a good score on a mobile out of 100. That's quite low. And what you would do then is go to your web developer, unless that's you, then you send this to yourself, copy the link and send it to your developer and say, is there anything we can do with the speed? I'm going to see what it's like on a desktop. It's good on a desktop, so it just shows there might be an issue with mobile. It's a good score on that. It could just be something, and it will tell you lower down what it is. That images are still massive for a mobile. So somebody needs to do something to make sure they're smaller when they load on a mobile, because there's a 6-second delay. All these tiny little tweaks help you with the search engines, not just about the content. And they help you with the conversions as well. Your mobile conversions of people doing things would increase if you fix that particular issue. 2 more things to cover. Do chip in with any questions because I've only got like 4 or so minutes left. Getting links coming in, again, is really important. I've put a couple in the presentation, I believe, but this is one that's a bit messy, so be careful where you click. But I could go into this and I could pick, I think I got rid of one of the websites there, so I'm just going to pick this website, if that's okay. And then you go in and put the web address in here. I told you, you've got to be really careful where you click. Get backlinks. This will come back, hopefully, if it's going to work, and report what links you've got coming into you. So you can see how you're doing. And the aim is to go out there and say, right, okay, I need to try and get more links coming in. You can also use this to go and get your competitors or people in a similar industry and put their websites in. So go in, do a search, find people in even in a different area altogether, put their web address in, find a zero-way shop or whatever it is, put it in here and see who they've managed to get links with. And that will give you ideas on in your area who you can contact as well to do it. The final little slide I'm going to give you, and I will take any questions obviously, is answerthepublic.com. So with here, we might go in and say, no dig gardening. Was it no dig garden? I can't remember. No dig gardening. So relatively niche for this, but this is, you get the idea. You can do 2 of these searches a day or pay $200 and do as many as you like. So don't pay the money, basically, do 2 a day. And this will come back and give me the who, why, what, when, where, related to whatever phrase I put in. What is it? What does it mean? Who invented it? The history of it. What does no dig gardening mean? Generally the main thing that people are talking about. And if I go down further, there'll be more suggestions. No dig gardening on a slope. The greener it is, the more it's searched for. No dig gardening for flowers. Just meshing our delegates together. So the idea with this is that you find, and I'm going to show you an illustration on my website now, but you find a subject that you can talk about, that you're an expert in, that you can discuss. Just want to show you a tiny little illustration. And then you create content that specifically answers the questions that people have got. This is the one I wanted to find. So you create those articles and you write blogs that are A, on your expertise, B, are about what your customers want. And I don't mean your immediate customers. I mean the customers who might come to you next year or the year after. What are their pains? What are their problems right now? What part of the journey are they on? And then you find specifically what they search for in terms of that phrase. So you might say, oh, they want to know about no dig gardening. Then you find out specifically what phrase they look for, and you write content on your website that answers that question specifically. And then you use that'll give you 2 things. One, it'll give you a web page that will bring in traffic month after month after month for many, many years, hopefully. In addition to that, it will theme your website, but it gives you content then to put on social media, to put in your email marketing, to draw people in. So you'll end up creating that content that exactly what people want to look at. And it's about getting 100 of your potential customers in a room over the next 2 years, and realizing that if you said to them, do you want to buy my stuff? 95% of them are going to say no. So it's about trying to understand what the other 95% want, and then creating content that they want to read that also people search for. And that's win-win basically in terms of content on your website, which could be a blog, could just be a page. And I'm 1 minute over, but we did start a little bit late. So I'll take any questions if anyone's got any, but do take Tyfu coming up on the option of the one-to-ones, should you wish to do so, which can cover this and many other sort of digital marketing strategies. Sorry, Johnny, I'm probably stealing your thunder, but
no, that's all good. Yeah, thank you very much, Eddie. That was a really good session. I hope you guys all took a lot from that. And like Eddie says, and Sarah Mesh in the chat, if you do want a one-to-one, just let us know, drop us an email, and we can book you in with Eddie or another member of his team. Yeah, just to let you know, Eddie's next session is on the 5th of August. It's about, it says, is your website successful? How to use Google Analytics. So if you guys want to pop that in the diary for the next one, similar format again. So hopefully see you again there. Yeah, thank you guys very much for attending, and yeah, thank you, Eddie, for doing that session.
You're welcome.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. It's really useful.
Good. Thank you.